Hey everyone, so I managed to go and see Batman Forever at the cinema last Saturday, which was very exciting. It's part of the 85th anniversary of the character. Cineworld and View Cinemas were bringing back 7 Batman films. For some reason, not the Burton ones and not the Snyder ones. I don't know why. But all the other, the Nolans, the Matt Reeves, the Schumacher ones, they were all back at the cinema. So, and it was perfect timing because it was a couple of days before it was basically the weekend before my birthday. So, yeah, my wife got us like matching Batman t-shirts, and we took our 3 kids to go and see it. So we all looked proper crazy. We were all in matching, t-shirts, and we all went for like a meal first and stuff. So it was a bit, yeah. My kids are, so I have 2 twins who are 7 and a 10-year-old. And they had seen this film before. I think I actually showed it last year to them, or the year before. So they've seen like Batman and Robin first, because there's nothing particularly objectionable in it. And then they saw Batman Forever. I was like, might as well see Batman Forever. There's not too much in it. Yeah, I obviously haven't seen the film at the cinema since I was 11, back in 1995. I've seen it plenty of times on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray, but this was a revelation. So it was the 4K version. I don't have the 4K Blu-ray at the moment, I don't have 4K TV. And I know some people have issues with, colour, timing, but it looked great to me. It looked really vibrant, and the sound was great, and yeah, I had no issues at all with it. It was also interesting because in the UK, the film was actually cut to a PG back in '95. So you missed when the major cut was when Fred Stickley gets pushed out the window. Nigma kind of pushes him from one end of the room, and then it kind of smashes out. It cut that whole bit where Stickley is kind of like hovering over the side, and then he takes off the helmet. Like that bit was completely cut back in '95. It's since been reintroduced. When the DVD anthology came out in 2005, that's when it first got put back in for us in the UK. But yeah, so there's some observations that I have. These are going to be incredibly nerdy and niche, and only people who watch this channel are really going to enjoy it. But at some point, I want to cover this movie in really microscopic detail, but that's further down the line. These are just like 10 or so thoughts that I had watching the film this time on the big screen. So first off, the titles and the credits. Again, like, I don't want to repeat myself, but like watching it on like a TV, my TV's decent size. I don't know what size it is, but it's a decent size. Watching it on TV, you don't get the Val Kilmer kind of like flies through the air, and then it's like we were sat kind of like about 5 rows from the front, and just those titles were just like flying across the screen, and it was like it felt like when you're at the train, and when you're on like a train platform and a train comes by, it felt like that. It was just like, and the sound was like left, right. It was Max next to me had to put his hands on his ears because it was so loud, which was cute. But yeah, it's just those title sequences just get you so pumped up for the film. This whole film is just such a roller coaster. And it's so fast paced, and let's move on. Miniatures and matte paintings. So I really noticed the miniatures and matte paintings this time, and I know that sounds like maybe like a fault of the film, but it's something I love. I love miniatures. I love matte paintings. There's just something about the way that your brain has to sort of engage with the picture, and sort of you have to work with the film, and I think we've probably all gotten used to watching so many movies now where, the CGI is absolutely faultless, but it's kind of hollow. They can do these massive things, massive sets, but there's something just kind of hollow about it. I love all the buildings in Gotham City when the helicopter's swooping through, and you get kind of like the weird kind of sleeping demon and stuff with the massive kind of wings. I love it. I love how just kind of it's not realistic at all that anyone is in those buildings. You know, there's no kind of like shadows or anything. It's just brightly lit squares. I love that. I also noticed this time that sort of like a lot of the establishing shots of the film are very, very different. So obviously you've got the CGI kind of swooping into Wayne Enterprises, which was, you know, cool. It sits a little bit out of place of the film. I did notice this time you can read kind of Wayne Enterprises on the actual building, which I'd never really clocked before. But yeah, kind of later on, we go to like the Hippodrome Circus, and it's a beautifully kind of like, there's almost like a Gaussian blur over the shot, which I kind of love, because I guess it's kind of like trying to reflect kind of the way that everything is kind of lit up. So you wouldn't get kind of like crisp, clean lines. Everything would have kind of like a haze to it. And one detail in particular, I noticed the cars in kind of like sort of like the foreground, I guess. A lot of them are actually just kind of like swishes of, it's almost like a painter's just like swished it kind of like a brush stroke, and then it on a piece of acetate, and then kind of like moved it across, and like it's like the suggestion of the tail lights of a car moving. I love that. Another one was when Dick Grayson is throwing the bomb, you know, out of the roof of the circus, and you see kind of the city across the bay, the river, whatever. And again, kind of the background, it's all these kind of like swishes, painterly swishes that suggest kind of like a kind of the hazy windows of skyscrapers in the distance. I loved that. I loved it so much. Okay, number 3, the sets. Again, this is like another kind of piece where kind of nowadays, you know, we do CGI set extensions. Back then, this was the biggest you could make a set. These were some of the biggest sets. That Batcave, you know, was a humongous set. It looks incredible on the big screen. But yet some of the other stuff felt kind of small. It's kind of the curse of seeing stuff in such detail. Like the Wayne Enterprises lab, kind of, you could see, it felt a little much smaller. And there's always the bit where kind of Bruce Wayne is turning off all the lights in the Batcave, you know, and he's telling Dick Grayson, you know, oh, Batman is no more, and he turns off the tunnel, and it's quite clearly just like a painting of on I don't know, like a sheet, almost like theatrical, you know, the way they kind of like paint kind of backgrounds on theatre shows, and they just sort of like drop it down. Same with the rooftop on the Gotham City Police rooftop. It just, you can see the backgrounds, but I loved it. I know it's an issue for some people, but I loved it. Okay, number 4 was Jon Favreau. So Jon Favreau, aka Happy Hogan from the Iron Man Avengers movies and stuff. He is in Batman Forever, and I've known this for a long time. You know, it's a good bit of trivia, because Jon Favreau sort of became famous the following year. The following year, he did a film called Swingers. Highly recommend that, with Vince Vaughn, and that's sort of like where his career took off. But in 1995, he's still like a not very well known actor. And he's only in a couple of scenes. He is sort of like one of Bruce Wayne's assistants, who's kind of like stood behind him when he is going around Wayne Enterprises research development. And when I watch it on TV, I barely notice him, and I'm always sort of like, you know, trying to figure out, oh, that's him. He's, much slimmer guy back then. But yeah, this time he's like 10 feet tall, and you can really, really see him. And there's one bit in particular, he is actually stood when Bruce Wayne's like checking back the CCTV footage of Fred Stickley's suicide. He is on the corner of the screen, and it's so great seeing him, because you can see him being like, right, this is my only chance. I've got to do all my acting now. And he's watching the CCTV bit, and he just does like he's just doing like all these kind of like facial movements and like opening his mouth and stuff, and I don't know, it just really stuck out to me. Another thing I noticed was the Guesser collectibles. So this is a bit of like kind of in-universe lore for the film that I probably should have made a video about at some point. But the reason the Riddler has all these kind of like bobbleheads and the big Zoltar machine and stuff is because there is an in-universe character, and this is like a little prop I made, called the Guesser. This is actually, they were selling this as a prop. I just printed it out and stuck it on a existing magazine. The Guesser knows. So yeah, he's like a kind of like a mascot for, I guess like a puzzle magazine, but I don't know quite why they made like bobbleheads and stuff for him. I guess he's really popular, and I guess Edward Nygma, as a puzzle fan, kind of loves him. But yeah, I could see all of these in really close detail. And when I watch it on TV, again, it's really small and you see, but I could see this, and it was sort of, yeah, that was really fun to see all those bits. What else? Okay, number 6, the Robin Stunt Man. So a few years ago, I found this picture on Getty Images of a guy dressed in the Robin costume, and it was mislabeled Chris O'Donnell, Robin, Batman Forever. I guess, whoever was uploading it to the picture library was like, that's probably who it is. It obviously wasn't, because he had kind of longer hair. He sort of had looks a bit Hispanic. Now I know who he is. He is the stuntman who drives the Batboat, because there's a couple of shots where the camera is sort of mounted on the front of the Batboat looking back at Robin as he's driving, and it's definitely this stunt guy. I still don't know his name. I will find out his name, but yeah, so that was a great thing to finally put to rest. Like, right, that's who that was. It was a stunt man, and they obviously just took a photo of him, and for, I don't know, whatever reason, then accidentally got uploaded to a picture library. The other thing I noticed, when the Batboat comes out of the tunnel, and I had heard this story because there was an interview with some people on Superhero Stuff You Should Know podcast where someone was talking about this. I think it was Tim Flattery. When the Batboat comes out of the tunnel and hits the water, it properly submerges, and it's an open top canopy vehicle, and you can see it come back up, and that Robin actor who's on the boat just is drenched. He properly goes underwater. I hope he had some breathing apparatus. But yeah, that was fun. What else did I notice? Just one thing was just how fast-paced the film was. I know that seems silly, Neil, you've watched this film a million times, surely you notice how fast-paced it is, but seeing it on the big screen, and it snaps, it doesn't stop for a second, particularly towards the end. From the moment it goes from partners and they shake hands, and it starts, the Batwing starts flying out of the thing. It does not stop, and it's so it was so kind of breathless. I think breathless is probably the best word to describe the movie. It's so fast paced. Anyway, another thing was, there was a comment on a Facebook group recently about what is the Batwing doing when he says by sea or by air, and he sort of presses the button, and then the Batwing starts sort of it's sort of not clear, is it sort of twisting, and it's just like an optical illusion? Well, seeing on the big screen again, I could see the detail now, and the Batwing actually has its wings slightly folded, not completely, but just slightly folded. And then when he says by air, it's sort of it clicks and clicks into place like that. So that's what the Batwing is doing. The other question they had in the Facebook group is, how does he get it down from there to get into it? Does he have to climb up a ladder? And anyway. What else did I notice? Oh, my kids really loved the Easter egg where Dick Grayson says, "What's a good sidekick name? Bad Boy? Nightwing?" My kids were properly oh, when he did that. It was properly Leonardo DiCaprio kind of pointing at the TV moment. They also kept asking whenever anyone died, "Are they really dead, Dad?" And I was like, yeah, they are, but it's just a movie. They asked me, in fairness, they asked me that about lots of films at the moment, because they're sort of graduating from watching just cartoon stuff into stuff where there's actual kind of consequences and stuff. But yeah, so the last thing I noticed, I'll leave it here, the last thing I noticed was all the Red Book stuff that is still in the movie. It felt really obvious to me this time. And I'm on the fence about putting the giant bat and Red Book in. I know it's that was the intention of the screenplay. And I'll do another video about this at some point. But yeah, I'm always on the fence. Like, on the one hand, it completes Bruce Wayne's, you know, arc. On the other hand, it pauses the film at a point where it really needs to sort of ramp up to the ending. Yeah, anyway, this time watching the film, I noticed how much Red Book stuff is still left in, and there's lines like Chase saying, "Bruce, what you're describing is repressed memories and stuff," and it's like, yes, he does, he has repressed memories. And the bit where the little kid kind of like turns the red diary, and you can see him to like looking down as if he's reading the diary. So I don't know if that was like a longer shot or something, but yeah, so I've watched so many fan edits recently where people have edited those deleted scenes back in. I'd gotten so used to it being there that it felt kind of jarring going back to the theatrical cut and seeing that like not there. But yeah, so hopefully one day we'll get the Schumacher cut, we'll get a cut where, you know, these deleted things are put back in, because as much as I'm on the fence about some of them, I still would love to see them put back in and have just another version of the movie that can be experienced. So yeah, hopefully that will happen, and if it does, I really hope they can get it back in the cinema. I know that's maybe too much to ask, and just a streaming exclusive, or just, you know, slapped on the second disc of a physical release or something, I don't know. But this is a movie that really demands you to see it at the big screen. It really is such a spectacle, I think is the best description of the film. It's a roller coaster, and it's a spectacle, and it's the equivalent of, you know, you can watch a YouTube video of someone on a roller coaster, but like being in the cinema, it feels like you are in on the roller coaster, going along with it. So yeah, hopefully if we do get a Schumacher cut, they put it back on the big screen, because it's a big screen movie. The sound, the visuals, the lights, the colors, it's just, yeah. Anyway, that's it for next time. I'm going to go back and do some more puzzles of my Guesser magazine. I'll see you guys next time.